Hello, and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts. And in studio today, I have two amazing brothers. These men are men of integrity. They have a passion for wellness, not only physical wellness, but also mental, spiritual, emotional wellness. And they have taken time out of their busy schedules to be on the podcast today to just share a little bit of their journey in life, in hopes of empowering, inspiring, and encouraging and uplifting. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you my guest, Mr. Quadir Bruce, who I passionately call Q, and my other brother, Mr. James Lynn. Welcome, brothers, to the show. How are you doing, sir?
Thank you. Thank you. Doing well. How are
All
you?
right. I am good. I am good. I am blessed to have you brothers in the studio with me today, virtually, and it's just a pleasure to hang out with you. You are some powerful brothers, and I know you're gonna bless somebody today. So, with that
Amen.
said, let's jump right into it. Before we get into our segments of the show, what I would like to first start off with is just to give you all an opportunity to just share a little bit about yourselves with our audience. So, I'm gonna start with you, Q. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Will do. So thank you for having me, Joseph. I appreciate the opportunity. Like Joseph said, my name is Quadir Brooks, but better known as Q. I'm a husband, been married 11 years, going on 12, to my beautiful wife, Kathleen Bruce, father of four. And then for work, I'm in the mortgage industry. I'm a compliance officer. Been in the mortgage industry for going on 12 years. So we'll get into more details later, but those are just a few, few nuggets.
All right, all right, and as he said, he has a wonderful wife, very nice person, very sweet. And when you see these two together, I'm telling you, they are a poster child for a beautiful couple because they just got a look about them. I'm just telling you, you have to see it to know it. So, blessed, definitely a blessed couple. And Mr. James, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, man. Joseph, thank you again for having us on. My name is James Lynn. I'm based out of Houston, Texas. I'm a personal trainer, a nutritionist, and also a boxing coach. But I'm really passionate about breathing, and teaching others how to breathe with ease. Um, I hail from Marlin, Texas. I reside in Houston, but born in the small country town of Marlin, Texas, and that really started the foundation of my integrity that Joseph spoke on and power. The countryside of me is where I get my values from. I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you all.
Awesome, awesome. That's exciting. That's exciting to hear, man. All right. Well, let's like I said, let's dive in to why we're here today. So, fellas, when it comes to our journeys in life, regardless of what we go through, what obstacles are along the way, or what have you, you know, we don't go through what we go through. We don't arrive to the spaces and places that we're at without without being able to acknowledge, where it all began. What was the starting point? Where did the foundation begin? And so I want to begin there by asking each of you to tell me, what was it like for you growing up, in terms of, not only environmentally speaking, in terms of your towns and areas that you lived in, but also, in the home, and just and if there's any fond memories or specific challenges that you'd like to share about your childhood. Please, elaborate on that and just kind of give us a picture of what was it like for you in those early years. And I'll start back with you, Q. Please share that with us.
Okay. So yeah, I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So that's home for me. Um, my parents, I'm the only child of my parents. My dad is Liberian, so I'm Liberian, and my mom is African American. And so the two of them, had me. And then when I was three, they actually got a divorce. So that's kind of like, I guess, like a common theme that, the rest of my childhood kind of, centered around. But then outside of that, I had a really good childhood. Both of my parents remarried, so I actually ended up with four parents. I stayed primarily with my father and my stepmom, and I also have four brothers, well, three other brothers that lived in the house with me. I have other siblings as well, but as far as the household that I stayed in, I had a stepbrother that's older than me, and then two younger brothers. So it was four of us boys that grew up in the house. My father was just a really hardworking man, just really set the example of how to lead, how to sacrifice for your family, how to provide. And he had a great mixture of discipline and being tough, but he also loved on us, and that's something that's very rare as far as men. Sometimes we don't know how to show the love side. And since he did that, I'm the same way. And I'm thankful for that, to be able to do that with my kids and show them affection and things like that. I feel like it's so important as males to be able to love on our kids. And so they don't have that hole, as they grow into adulthood and seeking for male affection in the wrong places, right? So that role of the father and being able to do that is so important. So I was blessed, to have just an incredible father. And some of the fondest memories, we used to travel a lot. We have family in different states, so we would road trip, usually during the summers, and go to New York and go to Alabama and just, Mississippi, just kind of all over the place. And so that was very unique because, again, growing up in the inner city, some kids never leave their block, let alone the city. So I was very privileged to be able to, have those opportunities. I would say, again, bringing it full circle, the challenging part was just the divorce and having to kind of split time, with my parents. And so, like I said, I stayed primarily with my father, so I would see my mom every other weekend. But when I was 11, she moved to Pennsylvania. So obviously I couldn't do that. So that was an adjustment that I had to go through as an 11-year-old. And I would just go see her in the summers after that. When I was 14, I did stay with her and do my freshman year of high school there. But I really wasn't supposed to. She kind of kept me. I wanted to stay, but my dad was livid, obviously. So, but I stayed there, and then I came back to visit the summer before my sophomore year. And obviously, my dad was like, "You can't go back because you ain't gonna come back." So I ended up not seeing my mom for like 2 years, so that was kind of hard. But then finished up high school and got to see her after I graduated, and then just kind of went to college and went from there. So kind of cap it
Awesome.
there.
Awesome, awesome. And I think what I find interesting about your story, that you shared about that childhood was, yes, I can, again, a child, especially at a young age, having to deal with your parents being divorced, that can be challenging in itself. But I think what's interesting is the fact that you mentioned that you spent the majority of your time with your dad, because that's usually not how that story plays out in a divorce. It's usually kids end up with mom, dad may or may not be active, if at all, and yet you had actually the reversal. That's not to take anything away from mom, but you actually had the reversal in the sense that dad was still very active even after going on to get remarried.
Yeah.
He was still like, hey, he needs to be up under me, and then to see the kind of man that you turned out to be, despite the marriage being its own separate thing for whatever happened in that. Clearly he's poured in some things into you, and that has helped shape and mold you into being the man that you have turned out to be. And that's so critical, because for those of us who have experienced that, divorced parents, or just maybe just the parents just broke up for whatever reason, and we don't have our fathers around as sons, how we turn out is a crapshoot.
Oh
For some
man,
for some of us it's
man.
like your story, and then for some of us it's the complete opposite. And much of it, while it may not be a total blame, a big part of it is dad just wasn't around.
Yeah.
But your dad obviously had a strong presence, and the fact that I personally have had an opportunity to see you, of course I shared earlier about your presence with your wife, but I've also had a chance to see Q the dad around your sons. And as you described it, is how it really is. You didn't exaggerate. You didn't blow that thing up unrealistic. I mean, for those who don't know you and know your interactions with your son, you can clearly tell that it's been a smooth transition in how you connect with your boys. I could tell, you know, from when I'm around you, and even if I'm not around you, you are actively engaged and involved in those boys' lives. So, and trust, they're going to appreciate and benefit greatly from that. So, kudos to you for being that man of excellence and that father figure that we just are a rare breed, or I should say, we're not getting. Let me put, I guess, a better way of saying it. I won't even say a rare breed because there's plenty of brothers that's doing it the right way. We just don't get to celebrate it as often. And so having you on this show, I'm putting it out there, and I hope this is one of the more popular episodes so somebody can physically not only hear but see, yeah, there's brothers like Q that exist. Men who are husbands, men who are true fathers trying to do it the right way. So, applause to you for that, sir.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. That's big. And I'm spending the time I am, man, because that's a big deal. We don't hear that enough, and there's some men that need to hear that. So thank you for that, sharing that.
Welcome.
James, tell us, what was it like for you growing up, man? What was good times, challenges? How did James become James that he is? Give us that beginning story.
For sure, for sure. So, born in Houston, Texas. My parents they met here in Houston, but I think I was the age of 6. We moved to Marlin. That's where my father's side is from. So we moved to the country. That's where I went to elementary, middle school, high school. One high school, one middle school, and elementary in the whole entire city. I think about right now, the population is 6,000. So everybody knew everybody. If I got in trouble at school, the neighbor knows, my family knows, and then when I get home, my mom and dad they're gonna know. But inside the household, man, I would have to say that it was such a blessing. I have both of my parents. They're still together. They're celebrating, I think, 34 years of marriage.
Hmm.
So I have the example. I can't say that I don't know how to act towards other men. I don't know how to act towards women. I have the example in the household, and I'm the oldest of 3. So I kind of had to be a leader since birth. Not really understanding or realizing as I look back, I was just naturally inclined to protect my siblings. If my parents had to go out of town, they would give me the to-do list, and if it didn't get done, they wouldn't look at my brother or sister. It's gonna fall back on big brother or the firstborn. So I'm really thankful that they were are great examples. I never seen them really yell at each other. My father, he has a smooth tone. My mom, she might get a little extreme here and there, but the balance, just seeing how a man's supposed to operate in uncomfortable situations, or seeing a woman operate catering to her man, or providing nourishment for the home. I was literally taking notes subconsciously. So, what I would like to share though about my parents that really weighed on me in a great way, they were parents for other kids. And like I
Hmm.
said, Q, like you said, man, some people just don't leave. Some people do not leave the home or leave the city or leave the state, and or might not have the pleasure of growing up with a 2-parent household. So I remember vividly one young lady. She had got pregnant, I think, in middle school or high school. When she had her baby, we would watch her baby at night. Like, she would spend the night. Or some of my friends who only had a father or mother, they would call my mom and call my dad. So I was sharing my parents willingly. I was like, yo, it's good to see that my mom and dad have the capacity to not only provide for their immediate household, but also they have the energy and the willingness and the wisdom and discipline to also provide for others. And as I fast forward, I noticed that my leadership, I would have to give them the honor for that. They showed us how to talk to people. They showed us how to handle our emotions and really have those uncomfortable situations as a family. We would get into arguments. They would sit us down. We were known to eat together. We were known to laugh together, cry together. Really, man, I thank God. As I look back and I thank God for that experience. And similar to Q as well, they opened our eyes to traveling at a very young age. Every spring break, we were going to different states. I think I've been to every state except for like northeast, like the Maines and Virginias. But every other state, or in Hawaii as well, in Alaska. But every other state, we would just either fly or take a road trip. And I mean, one thing I love about my mom, she'll fry some chicken the night before, put in Ziploc bags, put in the cooler. So we didn't have to make no stops other than like to rest or whatnot. But you hungry? My dad like, pass me a chicken. We'll open up a Ziploc bag. It be lukewarm, semi cold. It don't even matter. Get your hot sauce, get your bread, and we really are having family time in the car. Brother, sister, we arguing, just really connecting with each other in ways that you don't appreciate in the moment until you get older and look back. Like, man, I thank God for the camaraderie and the fellowship that we had as a unit. And so as we fast forward today, we have a group chat. Parents are a little bit older now, so they're on Facebook, got a Facebook Messenger group chat. They sending memes and laughing. I'm like, man, this is crazy seeing them get older, but yet still have a youthful vibe about them, man. So my childhood was really cool. I said the only thing challenging was getting exposed to so much like city life and then having to go back to the country. I used to cry going, I'm like, can we just stay in the city? Can I stay with my city folks, please? Because the country, the values are there, but we had to travel 30 minutes, 40 minutes to go to the movie theaters, to the mall. You had to really create your fun. And I just remember that we were exposed to this other world, and then having to come back to such a smaller world, it was a bit challenging at times. So I knew once I was able to graduate high school, that's what brought me to Houston. I was gonna live that city life.
Love it.
Yeah, man, that's the childhood though, man.
Wow, wow, man, that's awesome, man. Again, another powerful story about your upbringing and everything. And what really jumps out to me is, like you said, that family component. I mean, I grew up in a single parent household with my mom, but my mom was one of those moms who became mom like to other kids. So I've had people, friends of mine who have lived with us for periods of time because maybe they were going through something. And, and even in adulthood, for many years in adulthood, there are people right now who, would refer to my mom as moms. That was like a nickname for her. And I'm talking about people who, not only young people, but grown people. And some of the grown people were even older than her. Moms, moms, moms. She was just that way. And then we talked about, going on trips or whatever. My mom would have been the one packing up some food and all that kind of stuff on a road trip. Even going to the movies was, I've even shared that with my own daughter. Like, I remember going to a movie and we never stopped at a concession stand. My mom would have fried chicken and all kind of snacks and stuff stuffed in her purse, and we sitting there watching the movie, eating a regular meal, or just that camaraderie when you just talked about like the days of truly having Sunday dinners and it not be because
Yes,
it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. Like that was a
right,
regular thing to sit at the table and eat and play games with each other and talk with each other
right,
and
yeah,
all of that stuff. So yeah, man, you just telling that story just brought back the fond memories of what that was like. I mean, and truth be told, we don't have a lot of that anymore. And it's even challenging for us, even in our own days and times, because we get so caught up in the hustle and bustle of life that we forget those simple but yet meaningful moments that shaped us, that made us be the close knit family that we were. Even if money wasn't, in abundance, even if it was just one parent in the home, it didn't matter because you had that family connect, and that was what all you needed. You had that love and that camaraderie, as you stated. So, man, wonderful story. I appreciate you sharing that. That's good stuff. Um, so with that said, you both had some wonderful upbringings, despite, a few bumps in the road. But, as again, with any journey in life, the journey of life, I should say, there is going to come a time when, you know, that bump in the road is going to feel like a boulder in the road. There's going to be that moment where you get hit with something like a ton of bricks hitting you, like a true kick to the head that you're not sure, how am I going to pull this off? I done pulled through a lot, but this feels different. This is a whole different dynamic. So I would like for you to share with our audience what was that one thing that you think back on that you say, man, Joe, I don't know how I was going to get through this. This was pretty intense for me, but I was able to pull through it in spite of the significant impact that it was having on me, whatever the degree that that was. So I'll go jump back to you, Q. Tell us, what was that particular journey like for you, and how did you get through that particular moment in life?
Yeah, so this moment is career related,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of us as men can relate to that. I've been in sessions where, we talking about similar topics, and, that's kind of where we go a lot. So this is a situation where I was I was working in our complaints department, and I was managing the letter writers. So we would get the complaints and then read the complaint and then, respond in writing, do the research and things like that. So this is October of 2016 is when I went over to take that position, and I was managing the complaints that go to the state regulators. So each, whether it's an attorney general or a senator or a congressman or whatnot. And so those were more escalated complaints because of who it's coming from. And then also the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is our main regulator. So I was handling those complaints as well. So at the time I took that position, our volume of complaints was very, very high. So it was a very chaotic environment. It's a production based environment. So the demand is very high. So it's just really like being in a pressure cooker. I had people quitting, within weeks of me taking the job. So obviously that puts more pressure on the rest of the team, and ultimately me as the leader and being responsible for, the ultimate outcome of what we're producing. So it was just very, very hectic. Long hours, 50, 60-hour weeks. It was just not healthy in any sense of the word, physically, mentally, none of that. And then a year into it, after I had cleaned up the whole state complaints and got the pipeline down to lower than it's ever been and things like that, I get moved off of that team to go manage a different team. And although it appeared to be a lateral move, it's kind of felt like a demotion because I'm already handling the most important and most escalated complaints. But now you're taking me off, giving it to someone else after I've cleaned it up. And when I say I, myself and my team, to make that clear, we cleaned this up, and now I got to go over here and basically start all over and manage something that's kind of in disarray, so I'm just starting all over again. So we have that challenge. And then, also had challenges with my supervisor just not acknowledging, what I was bringing to the table and what my value was, and kind of being more discouraging as opposed to uplifting and just like really seeing, what I'm doing. So throughout that time, I don't like the word stress, and I usually don't use it because I don't want to give power to it, but that's what it was. And that was at the time, Joseph, we were going through deacon training, and I actually didn't go through with being ordained because of that job. So I had done all the training, but then I stepped into this job. And as I said, when I got in, it was just like jumping into a fire, into a furnace, like from day one. So when it was time to get ordained, I told my elder, I said, I hate to do this. I really want to take that responsibility, but I don't want to take it. And then I can't really fulfill my duties and not be there for, the members of the congregation like I'm supposed to. So I'm just not going to do that. So that was one thing that I wasn't able to step into, kind of because of this. So throughout that time, you have that sacrifice, you have stress going on. I'm not seeing my family at all because, again, I'm working 50, 60 hours a week. I'm coming home 8, 9, 10, sometimes midnight. There was a night I was so sleepy coming home. I ran into the curb and bent up my tire because I'm so tired from working so many hours. So just during that time, I was just looking for positions outside of the company, looking for positions inside of the company, but nothing panned out. Nothing would pan out. So I was in that position for a total of 2 years. And the good thing about that position is being in our customer relations department, you get to know a little bit about all the departments, because when the complaint come, you don't know who they crying about, whether it's the payment processors, whether it's the bankruptcy department, whether they mad about foreclosure, whatever. So we have to know a little bit about everything in order to adequately, address the complaint. So that gave me experience and knowledge across the entire enterprise, right? So finally, fast forward, we're 2 years in. It's October of 2018. There's a new position that's posted that never existed before, that basically requires the exact skill set and experience that I have. And I ended up applying and getting that job. And so in hindsight, I'm like, God created this specifically for me. And he allowed me to go through this 2 year journey to prepare me for this new position. This position came with a $15,000 raise. and it also, so it brought me into compliance where I am now. So it took me to a new department. I was able to have more, finances to take care of my family. I was able to have regular hours to be able to see my family, and most important, be around. Like we were talking about, our fathers were around. Now I can be around because I'm not working all these crazy hours. And then I'm working under the best management that I've ever had in my life. Supportive, yet will challenge you, but give you opportunities to grow. I mean, whatever you want in a leader, that's what I have in my direct manager, and then the senior above him. It's the best situation I've ever been in. And I've been able to grow, from manager to now, assistant vice president, and just move up throughout the company and just be in a wonderful atmosphere, and continue to grow and thrive. And so throughout that time, the question of how did you get through it? How did you make it? It's just all about faith. And I won't sit here and say my faith was perfect or at the same level of strength the whole time, because that would be a lie. But yet and still, it never disappeared. And so just having faith that if those opportunities I was seeking throughout were not working, that God has something better for me. And that proved itself out. He custom made a position for me. Again, this position did not exist before. And so, when we can't figure it out, the more confusing it is, the more we have to lean on the Lord and trust that he knows best and he has a plan for us, and so I had to do that. And then second is just my wife. Like, she supported me and encouraged me the entire time. And when I would come home and I'm frustrated and I'm telling her about what's going on, she would listen and she would encourage me. And she would always tell me that you're more than where you are now. You might be in management now and you're struggling now, but you're a vice president. So she has even been speaking above where I'm even at now, but AVP is before VP, right? So we spoke that I would get here and the goal is to keep moving. But she was saying that when I was not even a manager, and it's been consistent the whole time, and the support has been there the whole time. And so, the Bible tells us that when we find a wife, we find a good thing and obtain favor from the Lord. And so she's definitely my favor. And having that, I believe a man cannot reach his full potential without his rib and her operating in that way that God designed it, and being that helpmate and being that encourager. And so it was God and it was her that helped me survive that time and be able to be molded in the way that I needed to be molded while I was in that fire, to step into where I'm at now. So
Woo. That's one of those ones that I'm a lean into James. This is one of the ones you got to breathe on that. You just got to be like,
You got to, man.
because
I'm inspired right
that
now.
is about as strong of a but God moment that you can get. That testimony, man, is phenomenal. But that's just how God is.
that's how he is.
You know, I'm sure it was challenging, and there are things, of course, in your story that has resonated with some things that I've dealt with in the past as well. It is frustrating when you are working in a situation and you're doing good work, you're putting in top quality performances, and to not be acknowledged, to not be recognized, to be just sort of, if it almost feels like I was good enough to just come in and clean up the mess, but then you don't want to acknowledge me for the effort. You just want me to be the cleanup person, and then you want to slide somebody else in there as if to sort of take the credit or assume
Exactly.
the easy plate after I done did all the digging in the dirt. And then in the midst of your frustration, I've been through that scenario where you're applying for stuff, and you're not, and stuff is not coming in house or out of the house. You're not getting offers, and trust and believe, most of those jobs that you were probably putting in for, you were qualified for. You were eligible to get selected for those. But the beauty about God is he'll purposely close doors, not because you weren't good enough, but he has something better for you. So
That's
he
it.
knew if he would have opened that door for you, yeah, you would have got it. You might have even done well in it, but you would have been settling. He said, "No, I'm not going to let you settle. I'm working on something." But you going through that process was necessary because it was steadily building up your faith, to
Yeah.
trust, to wait on him. And that's exactly what you did. You could have threw your hands up and quit and gave up, but you didn't do that. And then boom, here finally this position comes up, created just for you, like as if they asked you to script out
Man,
script it out
exactly.
yourself. I mean,
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
and when you tell people stories like that, sometimes people, if they don't know what they don't know, in terms of how God moves, they would think you were just making this up. But
Yeah.
because I know how God works, and I know you know how God works, both of you. Nah, this is it's shocking, but it's not,
Right.
because I know God. That's why I'm blown away, but I'm not, because this is everyday stuff for God.
This is what he
So
does.
this is just what he does.
This is what
So
he does.
you kind of get used to it. It's not like you're not appreciative of it or anything, but it gets to that point to where, you know what, I'm thankful, I'm glad, but I'm not surprised, because this is how he rolls. This is what he does, and you are a perfect example of that. And then, man, just the wife for the man who is married, who has that person in their lives, you have no idea how important. And I hope she understands. I'm sure you've probably told her, but
Yes.
just understanding like how much that means to just know, just even on those days, like you said, when you came home just frustrated, like, man, just feeling defeated, to be able to come in and know that you have that support system there to just remind you that it's gonna be all right. I got your back. I'm not here to nag you or to add further pressure on an already pressured situation. The power in that is huge. So if you are a brother like yourself who has a woman like that that's supporting you like that, man, that's worth $1 million right there.
Yeah.
Just the support piece
Yeah.
of it. So so much more that could be unpacked out of that story. But
Oh
man,
yeah,
thank
definitely.
you for your transparency in that and sharing that. Very, very powerful, man. And again, somebody's gonna get blessed by that story. Trust and believe. And we haven't even gotten to James yet. I
And
mean,
somebody
your
already
brothers,
did. I'm
your
just
brothers already,
man.
you brothers are already swinging heavy, and we just getting rolling here. So thank you for that,
Yes,
James.
sir.
Same question for you, man. That time that it just hit different. This was a heavy load on your shoulders. You didn't know if you was gonna pull through this thing, but whatever this situation was, man, you were able to somehow persevere, and you are here to share that story today. So I know you made it, because you wouldn't be here otherwise. So
Amen.
please share what that journey was for you, and how you persevered through it.
That journey for me, it began in June 2018.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna start right there, but I want to take it backwards. March of 2018, I rededicated my life back to Christ, and I remember my mom saying, "Son, I'm proud of you. I also want you to know that now the devil's gonna work a little bit extra harder." All right, so I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna go back to June 2018. I had just finished doing a boot camp. From the boot camp, I traveled to the boxing gym, taught a class there, and decided to get my own personal workout in afterwards. After I had finished boxing, I went to the bathroom to wash my hands, and I could not, for some odd reason, get back on a regular breathing pattern. My breathing was so irregular, it's very fast, like I was just panting. So in my mind as a trainer, I'm like, okay, let's take deep breaths, let's walk it out. But nothing that I did connected the breath to come back to a normal pattern. And as I'm walking, I said, let me take a knee. The knee then turned on me, laying on my back, face up, looking at the sky. And in that moment, I had a come to Jesus moment. I was like, God, I don't know what's going on with me right now, but I feel like this is my time. I feel like I'm about to die. And in this moment, I just spoke to God more than I had ever spoken to him. I guess the most authentic I'd ever spoken to him. I was like, yo, if this is my exit, please let my soul be ready and let it come to you. I left it at that. As soon as I said that, I literally felt at peace, no worries, any bills, any negative people, any emotions I thought I had didn't even matter. My only concern was how can I breathe again? So that was on a Saturday. Sunday was Father's Day. I go to my grandmother's house to celebrate the fathers. That's an hour away. I drive there. We have heavy food, barbecue, potato, steak, all the whole 9 yards. Still not knowing what was going on with me. The doctors on that Saturday said, "Yo, it's probably just chronic chest pain. Uh, just rest." The following Monday happens. I go to work, talking to customers. I'm still like, "How you doing?" Yeah, blah blah blah. Monday evening, I teach a boot camp with my brother, and I gave the class a warm up. It was high knees. I said, "All right, class, 3, 2, 1, high knees." 3 seconds of high knees, and I'm winded. I'm talking about done. I said, "Jordan, this is my brother." I said, "Jordan, after this class, I'm going back to the hospital." So I went to a different hospital this time, and they took a chest X-ray. And this is when life changed for me. The chest X-ray showed my left lung collapsed like a fist, and it had gas and oxygen on this side. Right lung perfectly normal. Me thinking that I was gonna get some antibiotics, rest up here and there. They said, "Mr. Lynn, we can't let you leave. We gotta perform an immediate surgery on you." And that's when my confidence of who I was as a man went out the window because I didn't know what to expect. The fear of the unknown is now full blown present. Call my parents up, let them know what's going on. Tell my brother he comes to, check up on me. They cut a insertion on my chest, put this long tube inside, and all I remember is this pop. It said, and all you heard was like somebody opening up an airplane door. All this air, all this gas coming out. And I immediately felt amazing that I could at least somewhat breathe a little bit better. But during that moment, I was able to reflect on so much from my childhood. What I didn't share with you, even though I was the oldest, I had the parents in the house, I was very quiet growing up. Um, I didn't like my smile. I was a stutterer. And you could find me more so face down in the book. My brother was the more outgoing one. So I was really a special kid. I was shy. I was more observant than anything, taking major notes, looking at everything that's going on more so than speaking about it. So I look at the fear and the somewhat cowardly that I had involved in me growing up. But that moment of taking my lung away, or at least collapsing it, it allowed me to have a greater purpose. You know, I remember the process of recovery. I wasn't able to work out anymore for about 4 weeks and 5 days. I couldn't run. So what I knew to do got taken away from me. I had to find a whole new path. So I started doing yoga, started walking, and that's when I learned breathing techniques. And these breathing techniques gave me a sense of purpose. They made me feel fearless. They made me connect more to God. God, he breathed life into it. So like the breath is really God's way of saying, hey, you have another opportunity to continue this purpose. So I got really connected into God in a way that I had never ever imagined. How did I get through that? God for sure, but I had to rely now outside of me and on my family. My family, they would take me to the bathroom. You know what I mean? If we have a TMI moment, if I had to do number two, they would have to wipe me. I couldn't even get back. There was so much pain. Um, they had to just really take care of the wounds. I was really helpless. And as a man, as an older sibling who's been taking care of so many people for so long, it's kind of hard to give up those reins. It's kind of hard to just sit back and let people now do for you. So that moment of perseverance, not only did it connect me more into my faith, but it allowed me to see my family in a different light, to make me want to now be more conscious of my actions and my words towards them. It made me want to go out into the world and now give of myself in a greater good outside of me, so I can give it back to God. So I thank God that that situation happened, because had it not, man, I probably would have still been hiding behind a smile, or probably just faking the front here and there, not really being able to speak on like, yo, what what was said to me, I didn't like it. I would just I communicate that now, instead of just bottling up, not being passive aggressive. I have the confidence and I'm equipped now with the words, with the focus, with the power, with the strength to stand firm in who I am now, and just be confident with every step I take, with every breath I take. I'm able to commune with any walk of life, anybody, and able to still respect my boundaries. So 2018 of June was the start of just a new man, a new child of God, a new son, a new brother, new cousin. It's what I'm living right. I'm living a new me right now, man.
Wow. Wow, 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 man. That is, again, another powerful testimony. Thank you for your transparency with that. Huge. I mean, this is huge. Again, so much to unpack from that. Going back to you becoming saved. People don't understand, until you become saved. It's not just a gimmicky thing that you do, and then everything is all right. The truth of the matter is, for those of us who have given our lives to Christ, and all three of us on this session have done that. Your mother was absolutely correct. Get ready for stuff to turn up. We don't know what the
Turn
turn up is getting ready to be, but get ready. It's getting ready to turn up. And again, not to say that getting saved was a wrong decision. It was the best decision you could have ever made, because you don't have to worry about or be in dismay about where I'm going to be when this life comes to an end. At least you know that. But because you signed up into God's army now officially, that means you're gonna have to go to battle. Some
You
some
gotta
things are
go to
gonna come swinging your way, and in this case, you had the health scare, but it's interesting, just the particular health matter that you went through, and as you were describing the procedure and everything, I was just making that connection to what it means to give your life to Christ, because it was like God was breathing. He was supplying you with a new freshness of air. He was taking out the old air and putting some new air in you. He
Yes.
was restoring you. He was refreshing you.
Yes.
You had to go through. You talked about earlier in the session about um, being the oldest in the house, amongst your siblings, that you were the one in charge. So you running the show, you're in control. And sometimes when you taking on those responsibilities, you're heading up as the leader. You sometimes trick your mind. You do a mind trick on yourself in the sense of I got to do everything and I got to be everything to everybody. But part of that transition of connecting with God and building that relationship with God requires us to surrender. It requires us to fall back and understand. And again, it doesn't make you be any, it doesn't mean that you're weak because you surrender. It's just
True.
that God is saying, look, I got this. There's certain, in other words, you do a lot of weightlifting and training, both of you do. But there's certain weights of life that you were not supposed to pick up.
Too much.
It's not, that's not,
You preaching,
you got
Joseph.
you got a whole bunch of dumbbells and weights and everything else to lift. But there's some weights that are not physical weights. They're spiritual weights. They're the pressures of life. You ain't supposed to pick up. And we have to sometimes go through, and I'm sure I'm speaking to all three of us, we've all three gone through those moments where here we are trying to lift stuff we ain't supposed to lift. And God is standing there looking at us like, anytime you ready to stop breaking your neck, breaking yourself down trying to lift this, I'm right here. Let me do this. What I need you to do is hold on to me, because we getting ready to go through this storm together. And I promise you, when we come out on the other side of it, not only are you're going to be shielded in the midst of the storm, but when we come out on the other side of it, you're going to be stronger than you've ever were before. You thought all that pumping of the iron and all that was doing something. I'm going to give you a new form of strength that you ain't going to find in the weight room. You're not going to find it there. I got a new workout plan for you,
Yes.
and that's what he basically is taking you through. And to know the work that you do today, it all came down to I can't breathe, to now you're teaching people how to breathe. It started with you.
Yes.
And now it's like your calling. And we'll delve into that a little bit before our show ends, but this is what you do now. But you had to go through what it felt like to not be able to breathe, to now to get a newfound appreciation for breathing, because we do take breathing for granted. We think okay, I'm breathing. So, I mean, there's going to be some people right now listening to this and like, what's the hype about breathing? I'm breathing just fine. Well, you think you breathing just fine, but until you have a true appreciation of what it's like to not breathe, that's when you find out what real breathing feels like.
Yes,
and that's what you bless people with. But God had to take you through that training, his training program, his boot camp, to get you prepared to be able to teach it to someone else.
God is a personal trainer, Joseph. I don't want to sign up no more.
Right.
He said, "Nope, I'm not even.
I'm good.
I'm good.
He tried to kill you on the trial session. You
Right.
like, nah, bro.
I'm
like, nah.
Take it slow, God.
Crazy.
So I mean,
Wow.
again, man, powerful testimony, man. Thank you for sharing that. And just to transition from that, something I want to throw out to the both of you, when you now, as you've gone through not only the stories that you've shared, but just adversity in general, when you find yourself, in a moment where you're going through, you've been hit with something today, whatever today is, like I know today started for me. My wife is getting ready to go to the store, and she literally was gone 5 minutes, and she's calling me talking about the car is sputtering and acting up or whatever. Come get me. Here we are in an adversity moment because we need the vehicle. We trying to figure out what's going on, trying to, navigate through all that. And I'm thinking, hoping it's not bad, but at the same time, had to take a pause. Don't calm down. Don't panic, because we got warranty coverage. We got AAA. So we're going to be good. It don't even matter what they tell us. We're covered. So thank God that because of the planning in advance, has permitted us to be ready for what was otherwise an unexpected thing. We didn't wake up this morning expecting the car to go down. Thankful that we have a second vehicle. Thankful for that. So it kind of transitions to what I'm getting ready to ask you. What do you do to not only prepare in advance for what might be, but when that moment actually surfaces, whatever that adversity is, big, small, or otherwise, what's sort of your go-to things that you do, um, to help you get through adversity moments? And how much of that, the part two of it, is how much of your wellness journeys, because you both are very committed to that process, how much of that plays a role in your preparation in dealing with adversity? So I'll jump back to you, Q. Tell us what that's like for you now.
Okay, so the key thing you said is preparing in advance. That's the key, because if you wait until the adversity is there, you're done already. So the thing that I try to do and do is practicing, the fruits of the spirit, on a daily basis. Joy, peace, kindness, patience, all those things, exercising them throughout my daily life, to where when adversity comes, that's what comes out, as opposed to practicing something else. That's what comes out. So whatever's at your core, whatever's, the deep down inside, when adversity hits, that's what comes out. It's easy, if it's not real, we can, like James mentioned earlier, hiding behind a smile and things like that. We can do that. But on the inside is something different. But when adversity hits, and especially if you're getting angry or whatever, what's really inside of you is going to come out. So practicing, those fruits of the spirit, and trying to do that on a daily basis, it just helps when adversity comes. And then on top of that, being in and knowing God's word. If you know what God says about a certain situation, first, if you believe his word is true, right? Got to start there. So if it's true, then when you're in a certain situation and you've been in your word enough, you know what he says about a certain situation. So then you can stand on that, and it helps to calm you down. My favorite scripture is Romans 8:28. So all things work together for good for those that love God and are called according to his purpose. And that's such a broad scripture that you can almost apply it to any scenario. So, the example you gave, Joseph, the cars acting crazy, all of that, you apply Romans 8:28 to that. Yeah, this looks bad right here, but like you said, we got other vehicles, we got insurance, we got this. If it's bad enough, we might get a new car. If it's totaled out or something, we might insurance kick in, we got a new ride, right? So it's going to ultimately end up for the good. And so just having that mindset, it helps to see beyond what we're in right now, and see and know and believe that it's going to come to an end, and it's going to be a good end. So understanding that challenges are part of the journey, but if we love the Lord and we're called according to his purpose, we're promised a good ending. And so that's why, like I said, going back to knowing his word is so critical, because if you don't, then you're left to your own mind, you're left to the flesh, you're left to the devil's whispering in your ear and all of that. And he's very cunning, and he knows our weaknesses and plays on those. And so if you don't have the voice of God, which is in his word, because God ain't just coming down talking to folks. I mean, some people it might happen, but the Bible's there for a reason. That's his voice, right? So if you're not tapped into that and don't know it, there's nothing to counteract all the negativity. And so that's what I would say. Practicing the fruits of the spirit, and being in your word, knowing your word, and being able to call on that in particular situations. Tying into fitness, that is my mental health mechanism. Yes, physical is great. I actually love the process of training. So physically, it satisfies me. You feel good, you look good. All those are benefits, but the number one benefit is mentally for me. That's where that's my me time, right? All the other parts of my life, I'm at work. So somebody needs me to do something. So I'm not really serving me, I'm serving them. Then I'm serving my wife, I'm serving my kids. Everything is give, 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 give. So the gym and working out, that's for me. So I go there, I put my headphones on, and I'm lifting, I'm doing whatever I'm doing. and I get to just spend that time and know that I'm taking care of myself. Because you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So I need to go and fill myself back up so that way I can continue to serve, because I see myself as a servant leader. That's how I've always been. Like you, James, I've always been in the position of leadership, whether it's, amongst my brothers, amongst my friends, at work. My very first real job was a manager in training program. So I'm coming out of college and going to be a manager right away. So it was just something that I've always done. And so serving is at my core and in my heart. But I do understand that I need to be okay, and more than okay, I need to be in a good space in order to properly serve others and be attentive to their needs and things like that. So the fitness is important, again, because it just keeps me good mentally, and especially when I'm going through something that's weighing really heavy on me. I can kind of go there to escape, to think, and just all those processing, I'll call it that. And then also have had the opportunity to train other people and do meal plans. I have a couple meal plan clients now. I used to do more in-person training years and years ago, but I love both sides of that. Just being able, again, serve people, help people, but to see people transform and to see people do things they never thought they could do. That's what I got the most joy from, especially the physical training. When you take someone in the gym and they've never done a certain exercise or whatever, and they look at it, it's intimidating. Like, I can't do this. But me training enough people, I'm like, I know you can, right? So you show them, and first day is hard, second day is hard. By the time you get to week 3 and 4, the thing they was doing 1 or 2 reps, now they doing 10. And you like, I told you, and their eyes just go, whoo. That's such a satisfying feeling. And then those people can also have fitness as a tool in their lives, not only for physical health, but mental health as well.
That is
They're now
awesome stuff
hungry
right there.
because of what you poured into them. Q. They be like, okay, I want some more of this. I want to get wow some more because of those moments of like, okay, I can do this. That's
Yeah.
real.
Hmm. Awesome, awesome stuff. And I've even seen you, you know, serving your wife in that capacity. That sometimes you show little clips of things like that. And I'm thinking to myself, shoot, cat lifting more. I don't even know if I can lift that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm like, oh,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
She was
But brother
out
Bet and
here.
I, brother Bet and I run up on her. She been to put the.
Man. Yep. I love it.
That's some good stuff, man. That's good stuff. Same question for you, James, man. You know, you're going through adverse moment, situations hitting you, man. How are you stimulating that healing process? How are you managing to not let that thing consume you and get you stuck? What are you leaning into to push through, to persevere through those challenging times?
I would first start same as my brother Q. Staying in my word and understanding that it's a living word. Like sometimes I'll be reading the Bible, and I'm gonna have to put it down because like I see myself doing some stupid thing that somebody else in the Bible doing, and I'm like, why would you keep doing that? I look in the mirror, why would you keep doing that? So so like really understand the word. It's a living, breathing piece of equipment. So that's the first thing. And through my understanding, also gaining the knowledge on how to talk to God. Like if you really believe that He's your Father, how would you address your earthly dad? How would you talk to him to get what you need to get done? So I'm like just trying to be more authentic in my prayer, acknowledging who He is in my life, acknowledging what He's done in my life, so He can understand me. Like I need you right now. This is not my doing. I can't do it no more. I need you. So learning how to talk to God, man, has really been so beneficial. Once adversity come, I'm like, okay, God, this is this, but you said this, you did this. I'm like, okay, He hear me a little bit better. So just being authentic in my faith has helped a lot, and transitioning to the wellness side. Um, I'll share my favorite Bible verse is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not to thy own understanding. And all always acknowledge him, and he shall direct our path. So I'm taking that to heart. Like if I'm about to go do a workout, I'll pray before the workout. I get through the workout. Thank God for an injury-free workout. If I'm about to go to a speaking engagement, God, please go before me in the speaking engagement. Make sure you my rhythm. Make sure you my tone. Make sure you my energy. I try to just give myself literally no boundaries of me. I try to give it all back to him. And I use that in wellness and breathing and speaking and also drumming. The djembe before it was used for entertainment purposes, it's a spiritual instrument. It's very natural. It has the goat skin, so you have your animal. Then it has a tree stump, so you have your nature. And combining those two produces some great healing frequency. So if I feel something is going on, I read my Bible. I'm good on that end. I'll bring the earthly into it and just play my drum for a little bit. I express what I'm feeling on that drum, and you'd be so amazed how great you feel after beating on something for an hour or so and beating on it with purpose. Like you're telling your story, you're hitting the notes confidently. You're taking risks by trying to go fast or go slower. You just really tapping into what you're feeling in that very present moment. So without God and the word and the drum, I probably would have a hard time conquering through life's battles, man, because they come any given time. Like you said, you got to be prepared for them. And this is just us doing the investment, so we're not paying for it in the back end. We're
Hmm.
investing in ourselves in the front end, doing what we got to do, and then when it comes, cool. Let's fight it out, God. I'm gonna let you take the lead, but I got your back. You know what I'm saying? Throw a little combination with you, but it's your fight, man. So I would really credit to God first, and then the breathing and the drumming and the working out, man. Just bringing God into everything I got going on right now.
Awesome, awesome stuff, man. That is powerful. You brothers got a good routine, a way of looking at it, and that's beautiful stuff. And I like the fact that you both value the importance of the preparation, not waiting until it happens to start getting ready, and just speaking to in the words of what Q was saying, the fruits of the spirit, because that involves you not just practicing things that's for self, but it's also involving practicing things and pouring into others. And so when you loving on others, when you're showing empathy for others, when you're caring for others, when you are not always making life just be about you and those things, and then now it's your turn to go through, trust you're more likely to have the support not only from God Himself, but of course surrounding you with people who want to be there for you because you're always there for them. So it's powerful stuff, powerful stuff. So thank you both for sharing that. um, Q, I'm curious to know if you had an opportunity to talk to the younger version of Q, what would be the words of wisdom, words of advisement, encouragement that you would give to him to let him know what he needs to keep in mind as he matures in life and perhaps faces the various challenges and things that'll come with it? What would you say to him?
I would say that to everything my father said, I like kind of took it to heart and really, I just really looked up to him, really respected him, everything. So it was like almost like gospel. But the only thing that I didn't take like that was him trying to get me closer to the Lord. I would tell him, the younger me, to listen to dad, go to church more. I'm talking as an adult, because as kids we went, even though it wasn't super consistent, but we went. But then when I was an adult, I just wasn't in church at all. I really just wasn't. I won't say I was an atheist, but I didn't subscribe to religion or anything at all. Like my
Right.
excuse was, look at all these crooked pastors. Look at them. They got the BMWs and the congregation is struggling. And look at the Catholics, messing with the kids and stuff like that. Why would I be part of this? I'm already a good person. See, I help people. I do all this. Why do I need to follow that? That was kind of my vantage point, or my perspective, on religion. And so I didn't get saved until I was 27. So I would tell the younger me to, you know, listen to what my dad is saying, and kind of learn more about who Jesus is, and what his role is in the Godhead and what He did for us, and because it's about relationship with Him, and He's the the focus is not about the people, right? Because if it was about the people, then no one would be a Christian because we're all sinners, we all mess up, we all hurt people, church hurt, and all that stuff. So you cannot focus on man; you have to focus on Jesus. So that would be the number one thing I would tell them, because if I got saved earlier, I feel like my life might be a little different, because who I am would have been different because I'm different, since being saved. So that, and then secondly, I would just tell him to be more confident in who he is, kind of like you, James. I wouldn't necessarily say I was shy because I had friends. I was talkative. I talked a lot. My dad's a talker. I got that from him. But I wasn't very confident in myself. I was a chubby kid. And so, just it was kind of weird. It was like a weird duality because, like I said, I wasn't afraid to talk, but when it's time to maybe like go stand in front of the class, where all eyes are on me, that's when I kind of go in my shell and I don't want to be seen and things like that, and just kind of questioning myself and not standing up for myself, not defending myself, whether it's physically or whether I'm being talked about or things like that. So I would tell him to be more confident and kind of be self assured and know who you are and stand on that and don't let people run over you. So that would be the two things.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Same question to you, James. You had a chance to talk to the younger James, the James that didn't know how to breathe, didn't know how to, you know, surrender in terms of trying to just do it all, trying to be all and to himself and to everybody else. What would everything you've gone through in life up to this point? What would be those words of encouragement to share with to the younger James that you think would be of help to him?
I want to first just state that it's crazy how myself and Q were so similar, man. I was also a chubby kid growing up. So the first would be the confidence factor. Like, yo, you bleed the same blood as everybody around you that you even look up to, that you admire. Like, especially in sports, had I been confident, I would have been so much greater than what I was. I was pretty good, dog. I was like ranked number one in defense in basketball. Cool, but I could have been so much more, just a confidence factor. So just understand that the person on your left and on your right, we're all humans. They have experienced emotions of fear. They have experienced emotions of self doubt. Why do you believe that you all are different? They just believe they could. So I would say believe that you can and really tackle your goals full force. And secondly, would be to be comfortable with respecting your boundaries. I think a lot of the stress that I had built up over time and into the 2018 accident was just me just bottling things in. I know how to communicate properly and just let loose. Just understand that it's okay for you to step on someone's toes if what you're trying to communicate might not be the best for them, or they might not receive it the best. But you need to get off your chest. You need to explain it like, hey, you're not gonna be talking to me like that, or yo, when you did that, it made me feel like this. Like, just communicate. No, don't hold nothing in, man. We're all humans. We're here to fellowship. We're here to commune. We're here to learn and grow with each other. So being confident and respect your boundaries will go a long way. Had I known that growing up.
Awesome, awesome, and again, good stuff. And you both have kind of tapped into that whole self confidence, that whole boundary setting. Just you know, understanding your value, understanding your worth,
Understanding your
and
value.
and again, in all transparency, I've had similar struggles in that regard, and that's something that I've had to work on and continue to work on. Not always, being okay with saying no, being okay with, you know, putting somebody in line, if you will. And there's a way, even as godly men, we know how to, check and do it with respect and in proper, in a proper format. You don't have to go off and act, act outside of, what godly character would look like. There's a way that you can do it, be respectful, but make your point clear that I'm not that one. This is not okay.
Right.
Um, I deserve better, and actually not just saying the words, but actually believing it.
Right.
And not budging on that. Even as we're in our respective journeys of things that we're trying to do, whether it's you talked about speaking engagements, and I'm obviously looking at that, or books, or any other things entrepreneurial wise that you're trying to do. One of the things that Dr. G spoke about, and she proudly mentions, hey, my what I bring to the table is of a premium value. And so my prices are my prices because I offer premium services. That's
Yeah.
what it is. You pay premium price for premium product, and I'm a premium product. So that's why the price is what it is. No, I'm
Man,
not on a money grab. You just ask for a premium service, and this is what it costs for that. Same with cars and premium homes and premium clothing, and you're gonna pay that. So if you pay it for that, you pay it for this. So but again, but it starts with you. Do you believe that you
yes,
have
yeah.
that? And having that relationship with God should be a clear reminder that, hey, I didn't make you ordinary. I didn't make you just regular and plain. You came out a king. You came
Yes,
out royalty. So act like it. Speak like it, behave like it, carry yourself like it. You know, I'm saying it to you. I'm saying it to those who would listen to this podcast, but I'm saying it to myself all at the same time. Believe that, because I mean, it's so powerful. It's so valuable, and it makes all the difference in the world. You talked about the things that you could be. You might be doing some great stuff, but imagine if you were just doing just believing in yourself a little bit more. That great could be excellence. That excellence could be phenomenal. That
ah,
phenomenal could be mind blowing. That mind blowing could be incredible. That incredible could be unbelievable. What's
Yeah.
wrong with that?
what's wrong with it?
Levels.
So that's what we're trying to go to. So good stuff, brother. So before we close out our session together today, I do want to have an opportunity to just celebrate each of you, and just curious to know what things you got going on right now, what you're working on, anything in the mix that you'd like to share that we can celebrate and support and pray on and encourage you about. So I'll start with you, Q. What you got going on? What's cooking in Q's mind and in his back room? What is he working on? What things are in store that we should be looking forward to with you, man?
Not honestly, not really cooking up anything like that per se, but I will say that coming into this year, I prayed for more relationships with males, being able to have more friendships, and specifically men of God that I could walk with, because since I've come to Texas, you know. I really have one best friend, and then we had the great brotherhood at NEBC, but I've been away from there basically since 2019, so I don't really fellowship with a lot of the brothers there. So I really was missing that aspect from my life, and we're not designed to walk alone. Fellowship is one of those seven essentials that is critical. And as a man, there's only so much talking to my wife that I can do. She's not a man. So I need men that are going through things similar to what I am to be able to, confide in and talk to and things like that. And so he answered that prayer with Candid Conversations in January, and I was able to meet James, and I got a new brother. I was able to meet, Tim Nicholas. He and I are really close, and so I got two, brothers that I know I can call on, even though I haven't known them for more than a few months. But I guarantee, if I say, "Hey, I'm in dire straits. I need this," or "I just need to talk," or whatever, I know with everything that they would be there. And there's uh, so he's brought that into my life, and throughout my uh, journey, I've been in a position to like mentor people, and young men specifically, and so I have that going on in my life as well. And so it's all about just living out the word and discipleship, right? We're supposed to make disciples, and so I'm always honored when God brings a new person in my life and trusts me with that person to be able to disciple them and to give them some wisdom that I've been able to pick up, throughout the years and help them strengthen their walk and things like that. So that's kind of how God's moving in my life right now, and I'm grateful for it. Also, we were looking for a new church home, and we've been going to Concord in Dallas, and we really like it. So we haven't joined yet, but it's been a blessing to us so far. So that's something else that was on my heart, to find a church home and start going back physically, because we've been at home, since COVID. And so God is moving and answering prayers in those two areas. And so I'm just interested to see, how that's going to continue to play out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, see, you started off saying I don't really have much to celebrate, brother. You just put a whole bunch out there to celebrate, because the celebrations and the acknowledging of accomplishments isn't just about am I starting a new business or anything like that. The fact that you recognize the value of needing those male friendships and those bonds, because you're not alone in that. You know that from not only Candid Conversations, but you just know that in general. We all are brothers who are very limited in having God fearing men that we can call upon, rely upon, lean into, hang out with, just to chop it up. So you're not alone in that journey, and by all means, you can add me to that list. I mean, I've known you for several years now. We're in a similar type of situation, so that's just a matter of us just doing better at staying connected. That's all that really calls for.
Yeah.
And so absolutely, man. But I appreciate you sharing that, because that's necessary, and it's definitely something to celebrate. Don't water that down. That's a great thing. You're trying to get your family back into church in terms of having an established church home that you can physically fellowship again, because that's been one of the downsides with COVID, is that it's gotten us away from physical fellowship, because it's just so much easier to be the bedside Baptist, to be the to be the couch Catholic, to be or whatever religious background you are. It's just easier to do that, but we miss out on that interaction and that fellowship with our brothers and sisters in Christ. So the fact that you're even actively pursuing that for yourself and your family, huge, and definitely something to celebrate. So we're not gonna downplay that. That's good stuff.
Thank you.
James, what about you, brother? What you got going on that we can celebrate and acknowledge and affirm you on?
Uh, I would like to celebrate purpose and the power of purpose, because um, that's what I've been praying about. Just asking God, like, why do you continue to wake me up day in and day out? Why did you allow me to get baptized and then take me through this journey of breathing in hospital? Like, why you keep, what's going on? So my purpose, I feel like, is now to really go full force in my breath coach aspirations, finding ways how to keep personal training, nutrition a part of me, but not my identity. So just praying for purpose and celebrate that. Like I'm starting to unlock my purpose. Not only unlock it, but embody it, to go ahead and jump into it, man. Because it's scary. Everybody knows me as personal training. They know that I'm good at that, but they may not know me as breathing, or if I'm even good in breathing. So having to kind of start from the ground floor and get people on my side, get the word out there, and let the message be felt, like, yo, I was that, but now I'm this. And that same customer service, that same confidence, that same camaraderie that I gave you in that arena, I'm gonna do the same here, just on a God led, spiritual led level now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely, and trust and believe. God wouldn't have even put that on your heart. He wouldn't have put that on your mind and spirit if you weren't already qualified and in position to make it happen. So it's just a matter of you stepping up
Amen.
and doing it, and letting God navigate you accordingly. He just asks that we
Amen.
do what we can do. Don't worry about all the details and the particulars. Just take what you got, do the best with it that you know how, and He'll take care of the rest. And trust and believe.
Amen.
In
I'm going
time,
for it.
you'll make the connections. You'll meet the people. They'll understand breathing like never before. It's definitely a foreign concept to many, but it's a necessary thing. And God has blessed you with the skills and the abilities to to be the messenger of that. So, you know, we
Man,
definitely will be praying you up on that, and just, and again, we're always here, even in those moments of frustration, man. Don't hesitate. Hey, I need to just chop it up, or, you know, we need to link up or whatever. I know you're out of town or whatever, but even if you're in town, I mean, we can, there's ways to make it happen. We just have to be deliberate and intentional, and making sure that we stay connected in that regard, and be that support mechanism for one another. So,
so true.
um,
Amen.
absolutely. So, with that said, brothers, that brings our podcast to a close. Again, I thank you, brothers, for your time, for being on. This has been a phenomenal, exceptional time together.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
we know we were having some
Definitely.
challenges that people don't even know before the show even started, trying to get all of the technical invites and all that stuff together. And, you know, and I said to you in our message, I said, you must be ready to have some powerful stuff to share here, because the things that are going on behind the scenes that people don't see, that's trying to disrupt, to delay, to throw off track for this show happening today, it didn't happen, and you did not disappoint. Neither one of you brothers did. Far exceeded anything that I would have expected from this, and I have, you know, not only have you blessed, but I have been a recipient of the blessing. I have been blessed by the two of you in the sharing of your journeys and your stories, and I thank you for that. This is the type of thing that we need, to, you know, that bonding, that connecting, and again, just sharing this message with other people. So, with that said, for those who have the opportunity to listen to this podcast episode, if you like what you heard, if this content was meaningful to you, please make sure that you subscribe, share, comment, like, and just let everybody know that, you know, Blessings in the Streets podcast is the real deal. You're gonna learn about journeys that are intended to impact, to empower, to encourage, to uplift. That was the whole purpose of all of this. It's an extension of my book, Blessings in the Streets, which, if you want to know about more about that, as well as any products or services that I have available, you're more than welcome to visit my website at josephbroberts.com. You can also go to blessingsinthestreets.com if you want to get a copy of the autographed book itself and find out more about me and my journey. So with that said, brothers, we're going to bring this to a close. And just remember, here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is the place where your story is your glory, where your relationships are relevant, and your journey is your joy. So until next time, be blessed, take care of yourselves, breathe, and I'll see you then. Take care.